oil and gas sector. Now, in the last week or so, there has been this toing and froing between the Dangote refinery and the NNPCL, with the NNPCL saying, according to one report, that the importers should only take directives from Dangote refinery. And on another score, saying that no, Dangote refinery possesses sufficient capacity to meet domestic demand. Now, it is reported that the directive emerged during a high-level meeting in Abuja, attended by NNPC Limited Group CEO, Mele Kyari, representatives of the Major Oil Marketers Association of Nigeria, Depot and Petroleum Products Marketers Association of Nigeria, and key stakeholders from companies such as 11 PLC, Matrix, AA Rano, and the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority. The decision is said to have sparked unease among marketers, with stakeholders raising concerns about Dangote Refinery's ability to reliably supply the market, as well as maintain consistent distribution across Nigeria's expansive network. Meanwhile, despite expectations of Dangote Refinery transforming Nigeria's energy landscape and improve supply, imported petrol continues to dominate the domestic market, highlighting a persistent dependency on foreign fuel supplies. Available shipping data from motor tanker vessel activities between October 1 and November 11 shows a substantial inflow of petroleum products through Lagos, Warri, Calabar, and Port Harcourt ports, amid concerns over Nigeria's domestic refining data capacity too. Data shows, for example, that Nigeria imported 1.5 million metric tons of petrol, an equivalent of about 2 billion liters, within the period under review, while a total of over 414,000 metric tons of diesel and over 13,000 metric tons of jet fuel were also imported within the same period. Oil and gas expert Dan Kunle joins me now to unpack all of these issues in the energy sector, in the oil and gas sector of Nigeria. Well, Mr. Dan Kunle, thank you very much for joining me on the program.
Thank you very much, Dr.
Let me just ask a general question. First, what is going on in the oil and gas industry? NNPC Limited is quoted as having said, oh, anybody who wants to import fuel to take down the cost price, the pump price of fuel must go by Dangote standards. Now, what does that mean in real terms? The same NNPCL in the last 24 hours was said to have reversed itself to say, no, that is not what NNPC Limited said. Some people have said, oh, this is an attempt to allow Dangote Refinery to have a monopoly. Now, Dangote Refinery has now said, oh, it's even going to reduce fuel price to, I think, 970 naira for U-Tide. There was a statement to that effect. Can you help us, unpack some of these issues?
Yeah.
And then, because, well, for U-Tide, in fact, we would like it if fuel price can be down to 400 naira.
Thank you, Doctor.
Because even the 970 they are talking about is still high.
Yeah, Dr. Abati, I agree with you totally. But the reality is what we must confront at every stage of our life, as humans and as nations. Thank you for inviting me here again today, because I think we were here 3 months ago, yourself and myself, I think sometimes in August or September, on this same matter. You see, it's a recurring matter, and I think at the end of the day, I pray we succeed as a nation, and Dangote Refinery is beyond you and me. It's beyond even Dangote himself. So I pray we are able to write a book on this journey, combined together. The situation is like this. NNPC is a very awkward corporate entity in this country. very, very awkward, is the problem at the heart of Nigeria political economy, NNPC. I have been saying it, and it appears people don't want to take this matter very serious. See the ambiguities they have been creating in the last, just say in the last 2 weeks. See the level of ambiguity. You went ahead as NNPC, as an operator. You are an operator. You're supposed to be regulated by the midstream, downstream regulatory authority. The upstream regulatory authority, NOPRIX, also supposed to regulate NNPC because NNPC holds shares on our behalf in all the joint ventures. And NNPC NAPIMS also, which is changed name now to NIOMS, is the one also to manage our investment in the production sharing contract and so risks. So if NNPC that is an operator is the same NNPC in the last 2 weeks or 1 month that has been sitting to appropriate, expropriate, import, export. Import means to import refined product. Export means to export our crude share, the share of our crude from the daily production. Now, that position already compromised NNPC because you are not supposed to be involved in certain aspect of the industry as an NNPC because you are an operator. You are holding share on our behalf. You are a limited liability company. So you're supposed to comply and abide by the provisions of the Petroleum Industry Act. So to go back to the real elephant in the room is that NNPC has refused to be accountable. They are not accountable to us of the exact volume of crude we produce per day. They are also not accountable to us on the exact volume of petroleum product that they import and that Nigerian people consume per day. Nobody in this country today can give you the exact figure. That is why some of us have called for forensic auditor. President Tinubu is the beginning of his career from Chicago University was auditing. If I go by the record I read, and I believe they're authentic, he was sent to Saudi Arabia to do some work from Chicago. And I'm sure the first assignment he did there was to check some books of maybe Aramco. I don't know the name that time. Okay. I believe that NNPC is not telling the country the truth, and the truth has to be looked for, searched for, and we must find it. Because all these sift blame, these ambiguities here and there, conflicts there, it is still a confirmation that NNPC is taking this country for a ride.
It was Pontius Pilate who asked in the Holy Book, what is truth? What is the truth? You have put your finger on NNPCL, ambiguities from NNPC Limited and all that. But some people say that the big elephant in the room is the attempt by Dangote Refinery to create a monopoly. And that's why the marketers have been kicking.
Dr. Abati, you are a highly intellectual driven person. I don't like this gullible approach to the way I'm sorry to say, the story and the narrative being fed in the marketplace in Nigeria is like, oh, Dangote is going to be a monopolist in oil and gas. Dr. Abati, you were here, I was here. I've repeated this thing. Nigerians were here when NNPC could not fix government-owned refineries. When NNPC could not even account for the export of crude for swap. Till this day, we don't know the account of swap. So if Dangote took his time, I repeat again, to build a refinery that will refine 650,000 barrels a day against the one of government of 450,000 barrels, and Dangote succeeded in moving into production, then suddenly the fear that he will be a monopolist just came from nowhere. In which way is he going to be a monopolist? Okay, government, you have been the monopolist You have been the only one who own refinery and supply petrol to this country. So why, and you open up the market, and somebody now come into the market. In which way is he a monopolist? In which way now has Dangote become a monopolist? So this misinformation that is being fed to the market and being made to look like Dangote is rooting to become a monopolist is not acceptable. It's not true. That is still part of the game of the management of NNPC. It is their laziness and their ineptitude. And I continue to repeat that President Tinubu has to do something with that place. These cosmetic changes he made recently is not yet the issue. If NNPC is not addressed, it's the biggest cancer for this country. Take the economy. Just take the structure of the political economy of Nigeria. The political economy of Nigeria is hinged on oil and gas, hydrocarbon. Why? Because since 1960 to date, there is no any other product. Agriculture is supposed to be our mainstay. So why will we allow the management of NNPC to plunge 200 million people into this level of uncertainties and contradictions every day? And the Dangote is supposed to be a point of celebration for this country. I am pleading with President Tinubu, Dr. Abati, give me a chance. The elites of this country should not keep quiet. They should not keep quiet. We should plead and prevail on President Tinubu to go one full day to see the investment in Dangote refinery. He should visit. Seeing is believing. The voice of man is the voice of God. President Tinubu cannot say all of us are wrong. It's not possible. He has all the wisdom available at his disposal as the president of the Federation today. But that does not mean that he will say the remaining of us are wrong. Okay, so we must plead with him to go and visit Dangote refinery. Seeing is believing.
Well, I'm aware that members of the National Assembly have been there. These are members of National Assembly who function as extensions of the villa. I'm sure they must have given the president quality feedback. But look, the big issues, I don't think it's about personalities. We're talking about crude supply, refining capacity, stock, quality, efficiency, and all of that. You talked about the local refineries. Now, if the local refineries work, for example, on a sustainable basis, would that solve part of the problem we're facing about monopoly? And will these refineries ever work? Starting with, I think, Port Harcourt refinery, that they say has been, is it mechanically completed, whatever that means.
Dr. Abati, let me clear one thing. When you say it's not about personality, Dr. Abati, personalities and people makes a nation. When you were in office, it was your personality we were roaming around with because Dr. Abati was in Villa. When President Obasanjo was there, it was his personality. Today, President Trump has won election, second time in America. It is his personality. It is people that makes a nation, doctor. It is people that run organizations. Organogram is just theoretical. Is it not human element that will get it to work? So this country needs people of integrity with determination to make things work. So the oil and gas sector, the team in NNPC today, I insist, cannot deliver this country. In fact, they will plunge this country into crisis. So to address that one, because when you say it's not about personality, it's about personality. It is whom you are that determine how well the office will function. So please, let's put that one aside. To go back to the issue of the crude supply to the local refineries, we have said it that the local refinery owned by government, if they are not fixed, if at all they will ever be fixed, Port Harcourt refinery, the small one, they are 60,000 barrels. If you fix Port Harcourt refinery even today, as it is rumored that they will fix it, which I don't believe, maybe some people are playing game with us by putting some product from somewhere there to blend and take it out and say they have started production. I doubt if that refinery, even if it works today, it will not do more than 15 trucks of product a day. What is 15 trucks? It cannot even serve Port Harcourt. So the locally owned refinery of federal government have been run down over the years deliberately due to ineptitude, large-scale gross inefficiency in NNPC. And we were laughing at it. We were taking it as normal. The abnormality is here now. The cancer has grown. Now they are happy to be importing substandard, to pollute the environment, and to destroy you and me. The quality of our life is very bad. Doctor, you need to know the atmospheric content of the air you are breathing. You will be very afraid.
We are still better off than Japan.
How can you be better off than Japan? Japan has one of the cleanest environment. Japan, doctor, I just finished a program in Abu Dhabi on carbon capture. Japan want to capture carbon and export it. Japan don't have land to bury carbon. Japan don't have sufficient environment to manage carbon. So every carbon capture in Japan, they are planning how they are going to liquefy it, the same way you liquefy gas, and export it. So, doctor, please don't compare Nigeria with Japan. Japan is one of the most sophisticated scientific society in the world. So this place, doctor, is an uncharted territory. You and me are breathing air that is heavy in sulfur. So if they continue to import low-grade oil, petrol here, and you go to climate conference in Baku to say you are looking for debt relief or credit, carbon credit, how will you access it? You can't even deliver LPG to the semi-Sahel for them to stop chopping wood. So let's go back to the refinery. As long as this current management are there in NNPC, nothing will happen. Even if President Tinubu say, okay, I am a stubborn president, nobody can influence me to do what I don't want to do. The voice of man is the voice of God. At a point, God will talk to his heart. He will realize that he's silent for too long for not taking the appropriate action. The level of destruction it is creating for the country, he himself, the president, will realize it. So this is the issue is that we need to assemble people that will babysit this economy. This economy is already on the ground. How can you live with 1,750 naira to a dollar when your lifestyle is driven by import? So, doctor,
Mr.
please.
Kunle.
Yeah.
Okay, let's look at the human angle part of it, how it affects the suffering people of Nigeria. Now, there was something that was said, Naira for crude, oil swap, and all of that. But I read a story in which Dangote refinery, was it Mr. Devakuma who was saying so, but there was a statement about how that Naira for crude oil swap has not happened. There was another statement saying that Dangote refinery is now going to return to imports and all of that. How does that affect us as ordinary Nigerians?
Dr. Abati, the commercial framework within which we expected NNPC Limited to relate with Dangote Refinery and Petrochemical Company Limited, up till now we have not seen it. Because if you want to give crude to a local refinery in Naira, I'll give it if you have. I have been saying this thing. What is the production and supply capacity of NNPC? When they cannot even account for their daily production. They have never given you correct number of what they produce per day. NNPC will give you one figure. The Upstream Regulatory Commission just gave a figure now and say what NNPC said was wrong. So where is even the crude to give to Dangote Refinery? Whether you are giving him at Naira, in Naira, or you are giving him in dollar, where is even the crude? I am sure they don't have. And the little they have, and maybe they gave him, middle of the game, they say, oh, sorry, we cannot give you in Naira anymore. You have to pay part of it in dollars. So let's take it like this. Where will Dangote Refinery now get dollar to pay? Within the same country. You have already used dollar when you were paying for the joint venture cash call. NNPC, you have already used dollar to pay for it. So if you give it to your local refinery in Naira, it means you are saving money because you don't want your local refinery to demand for dollar. I hope you understand me now. And there are mechanisms you can use to balance the exchange rate differences when you are calculating your oil cost and you are looking at your recovery and return on investment. So there is a way you can balance it. But as I have said, the level of incompetency in NNPC is incredible. That is why you see the manifestation of that incompetency is what you see that is affecting Dangote refinery today. It has affected the government-owned refinery so badly that they have all gone bankrupt. All the Nigerian government-owned refinery are financially bankrupt, they are technically bankrupt, and they are managerially bankrupt. Well, so I don't see how the swap will make any impact when even the crude itself is not available to be given. Okay. So the poor man in Nigeria, including you and me, that our standard of living has been almost wiped out, our journey is still very rough ahead. So the next thing we should do is to beg and plead and pray to President Tinubu to listen to us and let us jointly revamp this economy.
Mr. Kunle, President Tinubu's administration preaches the message of hope, renewed hope agenda, it is called. And that renewed hope agenda has already been endorsed by IMF, by World Bank. They say that, look, President Tinubu is doing very well. Some people may say at the macroeconomic level, but they say he's doing very well and that the reforms are working. But my fear now is that there's a new calculus within the global space, the emergence of President Donald Trump. He's going to take office in January. Now, what is going to happen? Because that could also affect the oil and gas sector. Russia may produce more, Saudi Arabia may produce more. So where does that leave us in terms of revenue?
Dr. Abati, you have just come to the real crux of the matter. President Trump is going to lift the embargo on Russia. So Russia is going to pump more crude to the marketplace. Saudi Arabia will jump. America themselves will jump because America is doing about 13 million barrels per day today. So they may move to 14, 15 million. So the world oil market will be awash. And that gives credence to the opportunity for people like Dangote Refinery to even drop price. Because if he gets cheap crude from anywhere in the world, he refines and the price can even drop. It's moderately. So the emergence of President Trump is going to create a new shape completely in the global arena, particularly hydrocarbon and climate. So the equation will be distorted from January when he comes. So Nigeria need to get ready because your production capacity at home here is weak. Your competitive advantage is weak. So we may just be at a disadvantage completely because the input you need to increase production of your crude and your gas is not just there. Take LLNG, doctor. LLNG, train 1 to 6, the capacity is 22 million per year. They have not done more than 61% in the last 3 years capacity. Why? No natural gas to feed in. Why? Why no natural gas? Shell, 51%, Shell and his team, 51% owner. Nigeria government, 49%. But if you go and check why they have not been having sufficient raw gas to liquefy it, go and check. You will see that the blame will now point at NNPC, the 49% owner. And meanwhile, 49% owner has gone ahead to sanction to approve that we should do train 7. So where are you going to get gas to do train 7? Doctor, all the projects that NNPC have been embarking on in the last 10 years, have you seen one completed? AKK, OBOB, all the refinery rehabilitation, none has been completed. I just read in the newspaper as I came back from Abu Dhabi now that they want to do 5,000 5,000 kilometers of pipeline rehabilitation.
Okay.
Is not doable. They can't do it.
Okay,
it's
Mr.
a waste of time and money.
Mr. Kunle, before I let you go, you touch on parenthetically that is on agriculture, which is a major issue. Food inflation is stopping people. Oil and gas, nobody will drink oil and gas. The major concern in this country today is food. Very soon, children will come back home on holidays, and you know how children eat like locusts, and parents cannot do anything about it. How do we feed the people? This is a big question.
Dr. Abati, thank you very much. President Tinubu, I'm sure, came back this morning from Brazil. I am privileged to know that Brazil is one of the most agriculturally advanced countries in the world. After America, China, and Brazil is really, really on top. They were exporting close to $30 billion last year of soybeans alone, just soybeans, yellow corn. They produce more than 3 billion chicken a day in Brazil. So you cannot, in a year, you cannot believe it. So the president just came back. I believe the Greener Hope initiative, agricultural initiative, I believe maybe if you drive it with the appropriate team, led by the Minister of Agriculture, I believe that may make some impact in 1 to 2 years' time. Why? Agriculture is supposed to be the sustenance of this country. And unless we go back to it, why? Because every 90 days you can crop something. We must learn that from the Brazilian. Every 90 days you can crop one agricultural produce. And in Nigeria, you have 90 days, 4 times a year. That means every 90 days you can produce something to feed the country. So if I were the president, I will shift the emphasis of the economy of this country to agricultural production and agribusiness. And that will help to lessen the attention and the focus on oil and gas. This is my advice. I believe Niger State government is doing very well. They have key. Bago is one governor we must celebrate in this country. Celebrate Dangote. Let the president go to Dangote. Let the president agree that we need to babysit this industry the same way he will babysit agriculture. So I am all out to support Tinubu to succeed. But we must be able to feed this country, as you have just said. I don't expect any Nigeria to go hungry. I grew up in the farm. I went to school under the mango. I used to weave basket under the mango.
Tree,
yes,
under
doctor.
The mango.
So food was never a problem when I was young.
Anyway,
so thank you very much, doctor, for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you very much for joining us on This Is Live, the Sunday Talk Show.